It's great to see some familiar faces and a lot of new faces. So welcome to Editor's Lounge here at KeyCode. We're going to start off with, Media Composer. Is everybody familiar with Media Composer? A lot of Media Composer users here? Okay. Has anyone downloaded and using 2024.10? Oh, some applause, all right. Anybody using earlier versions? All right. Anybody who has not used any of the newer versions yet? Oh, a couple people. Don't be shy. We definitely have made a lot of strides in the latest release. I think one thing I want to point out, I think it was mid last year, we introduced Media Composer Classic Mode. So, thank you, some applause. You! So Media Composer Classic Mode is a profile that you set up with your user settings. Whenever you're downloading a new version of Media Composer, we always say create new user settings. It's very important. But what I want to point out here is the Classic Mode will basically allow you to float your Composer window, float your timeline, and we've brought back the 6 buttons in between here. Woohoo! I know it's the little things, but it's something that is familiar to people who've been using the system for years. Now, just so you know, that can be turned on and off. So if you don't want those, you can turn them off, or you can turn them on, and these are just simple tools to let you go in and splice in edits, overwrite, and then you have your source record, trim, and effect mode. So the classic mode will set all of this stuff up for you. Now, we have made a lot of changes through the years. AI, everyone's talking about AI. Is it good? Is it bad? How's it going to help you? And the way that we've incorporated AI in Media Composer is advancing the tools of script sync and phrase find. So some amazing tools that allow you to do some really amazing work within Media Composer. So you can take a script, you can line your video to it, or your film, or your media. But what we've done to advance that is allowed for transcription to be done. Yay. So transcription, typically there's somebody who has to go in and transcribe a clip. Here, let's take editor Susan Vale. Yay, Susan. Editor of Hacks, Grey's Anatomy. She's also directed Grey's Anatomy. So really an amazing editor. And by the way, for all of you editors out there, thank you for using Avid, for your talent to do amazing things with our software. So as far as the transcript functionality, you could always, or at least in recent versions, right-click on a clip in Media Composer, and you'll see the transcript option here. So on a clip, you can transcribe it, which that's done locally. It doesn't go to the cloud. It's not going outside of the system. So any transcription that's done with Media Composer is done local to your system, which is great. We support over 20 languages. And we say we support 20 languages, but you can actually transcribe any language you want. It might not be perfect, but you can try it. Just a little note is at a trade show in Amsterdam I was at, somebody from Norway came up and said, well, what about Norwegian? And I said, well, bring me a clip. And he brought me a clip the next day. I did the transcript, and he goes, pretty good. It was good. It wasn't great. There was still some stuff that had to change, but it actually did a really good job of doing a basic transcription of it. So we support over 20 languages, but try it with any language that you have. Now, these new functions are part of script sync and phrase find. So if you have basic Media Composer, you can add the options. But if you have Ultimate or Enterprise, you get these tools that I'm going to show you with Media Composer. So some things here, again, if you go to transcript, you'll see create script from clip, which is going to bring up a script in just like a script sync or a text-based script file. And what you'll see here is this is the entire transcription of Susan and everything that she said, and it's already marked to go to any part of that script or that transcription. Now this is one way. This is script sync AI. It's actually using the script to go in and create that. If I right-click, you'll also see other options like export the transcript, so you can export the text file. You can share transcripts. Just so you know, in the latest versions of Media Composer, if you transcribe, you don't have to transcribe it on every workstation. Transcribe it on one workstation, and you can manage or take that transcription file, move it to another system, and it's already transcribed. You don't have to retranscribe it. So you can share the transcribed information across projects and systems. But what I want to point out is the new Phrase Find AI brings up the transcript tool. This is actually pretty amazing. So here I have Susan's interview. If I go to the transcript tool, what I get is a transcript tool window, and this is her transcript. I can click on a word, and it takes me to that word in the transcript. So let's say Susan says, and I click on the word supervisor and hit play.
Supervisor to see how in symmetry
And what you're seeing,
what they do and how important the notes are that they send to us, marking where every resource
it's actually following along
assistant editor
as it's playing,
essentially transcribe that.
which is, yay, applause is good. Now, this is with any clip that's loaded into my source window. Now, what I want to also point out is there is a new transcript column, and you'll see that if the clip has not been transcribed yet, you don't have transcript. So right now it's showing me that the English for Nathan has been transcribed. If I right-click on AJ and say transcribe, it lets me choose also which audio track, because maybe you have a clip that has different audio tracks. Maybe there's other elements on there. You want to actually limit what it's going to be transcribing. And when I say, okay, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want you to watch a bar move, it will actually transcribe the clip for you, and then it'll populate the column with that information there. So you can easily see what's been transcribed and what hasn't been. You'll also see in the project window, you can turn on and off what bins you want to have transcribed. If you have B-roll that doesn't have audio, why transcribe it? Why have it do that extra processing? So you can define by choosing a bin, right-clicking, and choosing to include or exclude a bin from transcription. All selectable by you. And if you go to your settings, in the project settings, under transcript, we have some really nice options here too. The language hint. You have somebody who's French, who's speaking English, but they have a French accent. How does it know what language to use for transcription? You can say English. So force the English, and that's what it'll use for the transcription. Because I can tell you how many times people will say, well, somebody has an accent, how do you choose what transcription is used? And that's done right here. You can also have it ask you about the transcription. You can include all new bins in transcription. You can turn that on or off. And this is where, this is one place where you can manage speakers. So you can actually start adding your speakers here and assign them in the transcription tool. Or you can do that right here or afterwards. And this is where you can manage your transcripts. This is where you can choose your project that's been transcribed and export that information to send it to another project. It creates a .avt file, an Avid video transcript file. And that's what's sent to your other systems, or you can share that. Okay? Looking at other options with the transcript tool, let's say I load up, actually I'll bring up the transcript tool, and let's look at Nathan. I double click, the transcript tool changes to be Nathan's interview, and we can also search. So if you're trying to find a part where he says something about discovered, if I type discovered, it actually finds that. If he said it multiple times, you could actually move to any instance of that. And also you can turn off the ganging here. Let's say you're playing
that is unnecessary or
the transcript. If I turn off the gang, that means it's not going to play because maybe you don't want that distraction on the side. So you can choose what you want to have on or off. But you can also choose source or record. So just like the source and record button for viewing your timeline, here's the source and record for your sequence or your source. Now this is funny. I actually, when I first did this, I was like, oh my God, what is this that got transcribed? Speaker one, I have no idea what that is. Interesting, if you take a look at the transcript tool in the lower right-hand corner, I have music and dialogue on 4 tracks. So if I click right here and say, I only want the dialogue, this is where nobody's speaking and it's listening to the music and trying to transcribe that. I hit OK, and there now is the transcription of my sequence where just they're talking. All right? Woo. Now also, I want to use this for editing. So I'm going to go back to my transcript tool. And let's go down to, let's say, a part here where Nathan is saying, like on Ghostbusters Afterlife, which he edited. He also edited the new movie Saturday Night. If I click and drag over a portion of the transcript, look at what's happening. Ooh. It's actually marking the in and out of that clip that I could say, all right, I want to take that. I want that to be my next edit right here. And it just took that part of the transcript and cut that into my sequence. Pretty slick. All right. Now, on the other side, here I have the sequence. I can switch to the sequence. You can see as it's playing, and it also changes to be a blue highlight because blue is related to my sequence here. Green is source. But if I come to Chris McCaleb's portion right here, and I want to cut out, like I'm not even sure how you would do it, it's highlighted, I hit delete, and I just trimmed up my sequence. I have the transcript. All right? So again, being able to swap that, and this is brand new in 2024.10, being able to do that. Also in the transcript tool, you have the fast menu, otherwise known as the hamburger, right? Everyone's called it the hamburger. It's a patty between 2 buns. That's what it looks like. So we go to the hamburger. You'll see here, I can also create a script from clip, export the transcript, or show timeline, show speaker, or show something that's not been transcribed. So you'll see I do have the speaker and I have time code. If I don't want to show time code, I turn that off. I don't see time code. So we're allowing for more options here, along with, I'm a little bit older, my eyes are going, set the font. So we can now go in and change the font size of the transcription if we need to. Yay! Yay, older editors. There you go, right? So again, a lot of great new tools and functions in with the transcript tool. And that, again, is Phrase Find AI. That's the Phrase Find functionality with Media Composer. All right, let me see what other things here with the transcript. You have the transcript settings and managing per bin. Again, some really great new functionality. Now let's take a look at some other functions in Media Composer. Now, when you're working with audio, you might get audio tracks that actually have, polyphonic, or you may have different metadata in your audio files. Now, I do have a few bits of audio here. Let's see, I think it's just dialogue. But if I take a look at the bin, we'll open this up a little bit, scroll down, and you'll see here at the end there's some metadata. There's different tracks. The tracks have different names. This could be coming from different source files. But the nice thing about this is when I double click and bring the clip into my source window, what I can do is hit the fast menu in the timeline and say show source track names. And you now see the track names that were assigned from the actual clip file, yay, on your actual, so again, you can decide, what clips you want to bring in, what tracks you want to bring in also. Okay, so that's a selection in the fast menu. We also were doing different ways to view your timeline waveforms. So let me bring up another sequence here. We have a little zombie commercial.
Continue unabated. Safe to
It's different from like week ever.
So you do see all of the waveforms in my timeline here. If you go to the fast menu, I'll zoom in, you'll see we have new waveform options. Because when you're viewing your waveforms, you want to have a better way to identify the waveform. Maybe it's too small, you want to make it larger, maybe you want to control it a little bit better. So right now, if I go to audio waveforms, it's set to source levels. So that's what the indicators are for the waveform. If I go to show output levels, you'll see that some of the waveforms changed because they're actually taking into consideration the waveform from the audio mixer or for your output. So if I go to audio 3 and I say let's just change the level, what you're seeing is the waveform for audio 3 is actually changing. It's actually giving you a better indicator of what that audio waveform level is visually by how you're selecting it here. And we also have the third one, which is full height. And what that does is it actually takes into consideration if the levels are low, it's going to just make the levels bigger. It's not going to change the level, but it's going to visually change it so you have a better idea of where maybe to make a cut on your audio waveform. So that's another nice thing with the latest version of Media Composer. Again, 2024.10. Now, some other things I want to point out, a new thing, oh, actually, this comes up in basically every demonstration that I do, is this little marker right here. What is this? Does anyone know? It's the trainer, Jim, yes. It's called bin left lock. Exactly. It's almost like an Excel spreadsheet. So if I position this anywhere in my bin and move, it actually locks everything to the left side. I mean, the nice thing is because I don't know how many times you're moving and you have information, you're like, wait a minute, what's the name of that clip? Wait, I'm going back, which one? So instead of sliding back and forth, you can lock anything to the left side of that as you're moving around. Okay, thank you. I'm not taking credit. I didn't write the program, but I am. Thank you to the engineers who put all that together. Now, another feature that we have been working on for VFX and color workflows is being able to export an open timeline I/O file. So maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but if you're ever asked about exporting an open timeline I/O file, just to show you where that's done, that is in the list tool. And the list tool, if you're familiar with this is, remember exporting EDLs? Maybe you still do that. So the list tool, you can still export an EDL. You can export a CMX 3600 file. I'm dating myself, but yes, we still do that. Oddly enough, I just captured from a tape deck back into Media Composer into the latest version. So you can still do that. You can still open up old projects in Media Composer. I mean, there are systems out there that don't allow you to do that, but we do. But on the bottom here, yes, you can open timeline I/O, which is a new file format which people are using to exchange information back and forth between other applications. So it's the new AAF, open timeline I/O, and if you want to try it, it is in the list tool in Media Composer. We also have added in some functionality with the picture and sound workflows. Do we have any Pro Tools operators here? Anybody doing Pro Tools? No? You are doing sound design, though, in Media Composer. I know a lot of you are. And you want to be able to exchange that information to the Pro Tools operator or artist So when you do an export in Media Composer, if you haven't seen this, we have a new option to export a Pro Tools session. Ooh. So instead of sending an AAF or an EDL and a QuickTime file, this actually does everything all at once. It actually generates a .ptx file from Media Composer. This was introduced, I believe, last year. We started building this in, but we've added some new things in the latest release. So the Pro Tools session allows you to go in and choose. I'm just going to show a couple of options here. You can choose your tracks, all tracks, first 2, first 4, 8, 16. Markers. Notice we've added colors to our markers. Woohoo! So I think we're up to 16. But what we've done is we're aligning to Pro Tools. So you can actually choose what markers are going to be exported in the Pro Tools session that the Pro Tools operator will see as well, because Pro Tools will see those markers. So you can turn those on or off. You'll also see that you can create your video file. It can be an MOV or an MXF, ProRes, DNX HD. If you are on a PC, a couple years ago, we allowed for the ability, or we put in the ability to export a ProRes file from a PC. So you can still export ProRes from a PC or a Mac. Choose the format, and then from the audio side, you can link, if you're on the same Nexus workstation as your Pro Tools operator, you could actually link to the same media without having to export it, or you could consolidate or copy. But the nice thing about this is it is generating a .ptx file that can be opened up in Pro Tools. I'm not going to spend the time going into Pro Tools, but what I want to mention is in the latest versions of Pro Tools, you can generate a Media Composer compatible Pro Tools session. It generates a .ptxm file that, let's see, if I go to my desktop, is my desktop? You'll see here is my .ptxm. Actually in Pro Tools, it's a Media Composer compatible file. That's what the M is for. And I'm going to create, or actually I think I have a bin from Pro Tools. I can actually drag and drop, that PTXM file right into Media Composer. Say OK. And I now have taken a Pro Tools file, or created one to Media Composer, made changes, and brought that back into Media Composer. If I double click just to take a look at it, you'll see that these are the files that came in. You could choose to bring in the entire stem, or you could choose to bring in each clip on its own. Very cool. It'll bring over keyframes. It'll bring over audio effects and things like that. But one thing I want to show you that is in the latest release, Media Composer 2024.10, is a function called spot to timecode. So if you have clips that you've generated and you want to have them drop in at their timecode that they were generated, rather than having to go in and try to guess or manually drop it in, what I can do, let me bring up my sequence here. I'm going to color code all of these clips so you can see the change in it. Let's go ahead and make them bright yellow. And then when I right click on the sequence, which is the .ptxm file, and choose spot to timecode, watch what happens in my sequence. Those are the new Pro Tools clips instantly brought in, matched up in my Media Composer timeline. All right, awesome stuff. We're going to take a quick look at one other thing that I'm sure you all, you may have heard of. Let me go ahead and bring up, I know what I wanted to show you. This is something also that's new and is part of the new transcript tool in PhraseFind AI is how many times do you need to make subtitles? You're either generating it, You have to import it and all that stuff. Well, guess what? We've made it a little easier for you. So here I have a sequence, some editors talking about, editing and Media Composer. If I right-click on the timeline and go to Transcript, create subcap. This is not exporting the subcap, but watch what this does. Transcript, create subcap, choosing what tracks. I don't want it to use the music. I want it to use the actual dialogue track. And there is my subtitles that it generated from the transcript. So the transcription is done. It's taking that information. And this is actually a little funny little thing. Let me just bring up one of the editor clips. Yeah. You saw it live. You can do that afterwards. I'll show you that. But what I want to show you is, once it's transcribed, this is why it's so fast. So it's already transcribed. Here we have Susan. This is a 44-minute interview of Susan. I'm just going to cut into a sequence here. All right. I'm going to right-click, transcript, create script. Look at that. So it just took that transcript. That's 44 minutes that it just transcribed. Sorry? You can, as long as you choose that. Yeah, you could say, choose which one you want that to be set to. Yes? That's a good question. So the question was, how does it decide where to break it up? I think that when it finds pauses, that's where the transcript does. You can go in and make any changes on that, because you'll see like some of these are rather lengthy. So you could, definitely go in and chop that up and split up any text. If you go to your effect editor, what I want to point out is, looking at the effect editor, if I open up the caption text, I can go in and make any sort of changes here. What you'll see is as I move through, whoops, let me bring up. You see how it changed before going out? I'm sorry, I'm trying to manipulate and stand up at the same time. There we are. You'll see as I choose, you're seeing it all change. I could make any changes here. I could also divide it up if I wanted to. Sorry, I have multiple questions. This is good. Yes? An add edit would not, because it's actually using the full clip, but at that point, if you add edit, you could just take the first half, delete, then take the second one, delete, and that's done. So there are ways to manipulate it to be able to do that. Let me just show you, if you want to change any of the style, this is all done by the style sheet. So if you go in to change any appearance here, this is all in the effect editor. Anything you change here, once you go in and change it, go to your global properties, create a style sheet, and resynchronize it. So you can create a whole series of looks as a style sheet and just apply it to anything that you want. And I don't want to spend too much time here because there's some more stuff, but yes. Are you able to change the language? Currently, we don't do translation. We're looking at options to be able to do that, but we don't do translation yet. That's something where people say, well, just take it, go to Google Translate, and then just cut that back in. So you may need to go out and try to change that. The one thing I want to hit on real quick before I go into a couple other things, because the time goes fast, is a little thing like titles. Does anyone do titles? In 2024.10, yeah, we've made some advancements with the Avid Titler Plus. Has anyone used it? Has anyone tried it yet? A couple people? Applause is good for that. Thank you. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in it, but I do want to just show you some of the functionality, because we did spend a lot of time, getting better performance, stability, and usability on the titler. So if I go into mark an in and an out on the timeline. I've chosen an area, and I now can go into T+. I click here, and I do like to go in and go to single monitor. This is what I put in the video because I like to have a larger canvas when I'm creating titles. So when I go to the titler, I can start typing. Now, yes, it looks like there's nothing there. I've done this before. You want to make sure you're monitoring, and then you'll see that. But now I want to go in and actually spell right. But I think what you'll see is I'm actually typing, and the responsiveness of typing is actually really amazing. Now, initially, when I go into titling, this is my dashboard. It defaults to text for title. If I click off, you'll see it goes to move mode, so now I can go in and manipulate that and move that anywhere on my viewer. If I turn on the grid, I can go in and select it to be Save Title. If I click again, it takes me to the end. So you can actually choose where you want that placement to go. Left, center, right, top, center, bottom. So you can choose where you want that to be placed. I want to change the size. I'm going to go ahead and click right here. If I hover, you're going to see two arrows, which means I can click and slide if I want to change the size like that. And what you're seeing also is there is an anchor point. It defaults to the lower left-hand corner. If I go to the Effect Editor and go to Transform, there is an anchor point section where I can say center that instead. So the anchor point is now centered for any sort of manipulation or rotation that's happening. Okay? Go ahead and place that. Again, center, left, or right. Choose that, play it. Performance again, much better. And I put on the Avid editors of Facebook a preset bin of some titles. So if you go to your titles, if you are in frame mode, you get a representation of your title. This is an effect. It's different than the old title tool, which actually created media every time you generated a title. So this is an effect which is going to give you a lot more control when you're going in to do any sort of keyframing, if you're going in to do any sort of manipulation. And any of these I can take and just simply drag and drop on my timeline. Let me go ahead and just say, let's take this one right here, drag it, and I just changed that title. Simply click to go in and change, double click, Nathan Orloff, and he edited Saturday night, click off, and now I have a new title. And there's no spell check. You can see I spelled that wrong. Thank you. I've changed his name to Nate Han. But the nice thing is, again, you can create any sort of format here. If I go back in, let me go ahead and change that. Again, you can swipe. And again, I think you can instantly see as I'm typing, if you've used any other iteration of Titler Plus, that the performance has just really gotten so much better with the recent release. Another thing you can do is if you highlight the words here, just like you saw in the subcap, I could open this up and I can make a change here. So if I've gone in and said, wait, I want to change Saturday night, you'll see that this changes depending on what's being selected, just to make it a little easier to go in and make any sort of changes. Or you can copy and paste. Or if you have credits for a credit roll, you can copy and paste a credit list and drag it in, put it into a box, and then do credit rolls as well. I'll show you a credit roll, sure. There is one that is a sample. Let me go ahead and let's just do it over Chris here. I'm going to go to Basic Center. Let's see which one. Rolled credits. Take that, drag it there. If I want to go in, all right. If I want to go in and make any changes, again, you can change the timing there if you want. If I want to make a change to any of the titles there, I simply go back to my titles. And what I want to show you is, it's interesting, since this is a credit roll, if I turn on the credit roll here, this is where you can go in and change the position or go in. I'm currently in edit mode with the check. I have a little slider here which actually will take me to any part of the credits. I simply can click and make any change to any of these. And that could be here, or you're seeing it right here as well. So I can go in and make any changes to that. So again, some other really great advancements with the title, Avid Titler Plus. We are going to, expand on this as well. But again, any titles that you create, say I come here, if I want to save that, just like any effect, I simply take that effect, drag and drop it to my bin, and there's my new title that you can see. But anything you want to change, you just drag it, drop it, see the change. Okay? So give that a try. All right, we're getting close to talking with the partners, but what I do want to also talk about is Avid Huddle. Let's see if we can get this going here. So Avid Huddle, has anybody usually sending out QuickTime files for review? Usually takes time, usually waiting for a response from somebody. Well, if you haven't heard of Avid Huddle, what Avid Huddle does is it will send the output of Media Composer through SRT and Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to go and start a meeting in Teams. Hello. And we'll join. We're going to set that up. Great. Now, in Media Composer, it's going to start the session. Everything's going to come up shortly. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to play out Media Composer, and then anybody who has Microsoft Teams, even if they don't, if you send them a link, it'll let you download Microsoft Teams. But on your phone, on your laptop, on your iPad, they will see a high-resolution output of Media Composer that the editor is playing out at any time. You can make changes instantly. You can play them back. And what's also cool is you can draw on frames, and you can also make comments that are time-stamped. And those time-coded comments come back into Media Composer as markers. Really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see what I have here. I have SRT. Let's go ahead and start playing. Launch Huddle in Teams. Give it a little scrub. So let's see how this comes up. It's waiting to review. Again, I have multiple things going on right here. But once this kicks in, I'm going to try and send this out to my colleague, Michael Fellows, over on the other side there. So here I have Media Composer. I can go in and draw and say, wait, I need to get rid of that. Maybe I want to make sure, Lindsay here, maybe get rid of that side. I can do a frame grab, and that's where I'm getting that frame capture. You'll see also, Michael just made a comment there for no headphones. So any sort of comment here, go ahead and scrub down a little bit. I want to make a comment here, flip, video. So again, this is a live session. So anybody could be making comments while this is happening. Somebody can stop and say, hey, could you trim 2 frames off and let's play it, see it in real time. And then when you're done, thank you for helping out. When I close the session, I'm going to get an option to save a couple different files. I can save a PDF with the frames, and I can also save a text file with the markers that can be imported back into Media Composer. Oh, thanks. You're welcome. The nice thing with the PDF file with the frames is it also has a password. And this was something that came up as a feature request that not anybody can download. The password is something that lets you open up the file. And also, I forgot to mention, I don't know if you saw it, but there's watermarking as well. So there's a watermark with the person who is playing it out and also the session, so that, just for security reasons, it's set up. So here's the session has been ended. I'm going to download the PDF. Here I'm copying the password. It's going to download the PDF. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And when I open up the PDF with the password, there it is. So that can be printed up. You have a reference. You have the markers that are there as well. And if I was to save the text file for the markers, that you'll see here is your marker file. You import those into Media Composer, and those markers are then on the sequence. And you'll have an indication that those are coming in from the huddle session. So, a lot of great stuff in Media Composer. We keep developing. A lot more innovation is coming. I believe at this point, am I handing it off?
Take a few questions while our vendors come up.
All right. We'll take a few questions while the vendors make their way to the stage. Yes?
Sorry.
Any changes to the Symphony color correction tool yet? No, not yet. We still have the same tool set, but that's something that we're definitely looking towards as well. Yes?
Can I type a dream sentence in and have the Avid audition versions of it working from the transcript?
Can you...
Like a Frankenbite or something, like if I wanted to make the person say something they maybe didn't say, would the Avid be able to put that sentence together for me if I just typed in?
So you wanted to know if you type in a sentence, would...
Can it pull those words from a transcript of someone and make that?
will it pull the words? Not automatically. That's something that, if you did want a Frankenbite, you could go and phrase find the words and cut those in one after the other. But that's a nice feature request. Yes?
Did you say that the title tool templates, are they on a third party, or do they come in the software?
Those templates currently, I put them on the Avid editors, the Media Composer user group on Facebook. If you would like that, let me know and I can send it to you. Come up and give me your email address. I can get it to you. Yes. Oh, sorry. There's a microphone.
Sorry. On the huddle feature, on the recipient side, will you do a watermark so that when they're watching it, their name is on their screen only?
Currently, no. Currently,
No.
it's just from the editor that is playing it out. But another good feature request. Yes.
Does Huddle come free with Media Composer, or is it an add-on?
Huddle is an add-on.
How much?
So I believe it's $99 a month.
Pass it down here.
$9.99 a year. And again, that's only one license. You only need the license on the editor side. You could have as many people on the recipient side with Microsoft Teams being able to watch it. Correct. Yep.
Speaking of feature requests, I thought that the subtitler was quite cool. The big cumbersome subtitles, to break those up, a feature request that I would say it would be amazing if you could add an ad edit and it could automatically do it. So thank you.
I think the easiest thing would be to just regenerate the subtitle at that point, and it probably would do it for you. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be probably the easiest.
When you import the media in the Pro Tools sessions,
Yes.
is that creating new media, or is that using the existing Avid media? And where's the metadata coming from?
That's actually coming from Pro Tools. So those files are brought in, assuming they were rendered from the Pro Tools side. So that is part of the file. There is an audio file folder that is created, and each of those are individual. Yes.
Is Huddle only for Microsoft Teams, or like will it also be available for Zoom too in the future?
Right now, we released it just as Microsoft Teams. Yes. The titles templates are ones that I put on. They're not part of Media Composer yet. I believe we're looking at adding those. But if you do want them, I can send them. I have the file. Yes.
After you import the markers from your huddle session, they're clip-based or timeline-based. So if you make a lift in the middle, that will advance the marker.
It's actually timeline-based.
So it just stays on that 22 minutes regardless of the clip underneath.
When you put in the...
But I'm saying, so when you go and you're making your changes, is it going to advance? It's going to update as you make the changes.
Updating in Media Composer?
Well, just where it lives, so you have the locator that's with the appropriate clip.
Oh, right. It would move with the clip when it is there. I mean, once it's in the timeline, so it'll work just like any clip in the timeline. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that rapid fire Q&A session.
Yeah, sorry.
I just want to remind, great job, Michael. That was an excellent presentation. So I just want to remind everybody that both Michael will be here as well as our partners from MarkQuest, Spectra, and Doom Solutions. Booths over here, and then Doom is in our conference room by the restroom. So we're now going to transition to talk about some third-party connectors that are really changing the game for Media Composer workflow. This is a new segment for us. Usually we have like an editor panel discussion, but we're calling the vendor lightning round. Lightning round. Thank you. Could we can turn the volume up on that next time? We put a lot of work in that sound effect. So let's go ahead and start off with MarkQuest. Thank you so much.
Mike?
Get any sound here. Go ahead. Ready? Yeah, and I think we have it now, right? Got it. My name's Dave Franza. I'm with MarkQuiz, which how many people know who MarkQuiz is? MarkQuiz Broadcast. So fairly well known. We have some in the room that know who we are. I'm not that famous. So it's a UK-based company. It's been around, I don't know, about 20 years or so, I guess. It's very much integrated with Avid, as a partner of Avid, among many others, and is pretty well known for tools that help manage the Avid environment, from projects to workspaces. Very big in disaster recovery, business continuity, cleaning up Nexus storage, analyzing it, so going throughout your organization in an automated fashion and seeing what the status of all your projects and all the media related to the projects might be, and helping you manage that, all that kind of thing, which I've been with MarkQuiz for a little over a year, about a year and a half, director of technical sales in the Americas, so it's a very small job. I was with NFL Films for 31 years. I was CIO for NFL Films, NFL Network, right out here. Helped build that back in 2003. Left there about 7 years ago, started my own company. And long story short, I was CIO and then got moved over into broadcast engineering, developed a lot of systems there internally for the National Football League. And MarkQuiz brought me in about a year and a half ago to help expand, which looks like it was probably a good idea, help expand their brand in the Americas and also bring them into sports. So they're very big in the news world. In fact, one of the things we'll show tonight really emanated from a project we did right when I started with MarkQuiz with Sinclair News to automate their camera content acquisition in the field to edit and delivery. And we use the Sony C3 portal, if any of you know what that is. It's a cloud-based portal Sony has that's really tied to certain cameras, so it's camera specific. And when I first started, what interested me in MarkQuiz was they had developed a workflow with Sony to take camera original from the camera in the field for the news agency right up into Sony C3 portal. Sinclair is already doing that, 50 megabit HD cam going up to the Sony C3 portal, and then an Avid Media composer editor would have to wait for that file to finish and then bring it down to their editor. Once it was done, bring the whole file down at 50 megabits. It was taking them too long to do that. So Mark was using a product we have called Medway, really sped up that process. And with certain cameras who have IUD capability with Sony, they create multiple formats at the same time. So a 50 meg format and a 3, 6, or 9 megabit proxy, both going up into that portal, both with all the metadata, attach them, time code, frame accurate, time code accurate. Medway is really the one making that happen. It's combining all the metadata they're using from iNews, where they're building the program out, combining all the metadata with the two formats, and literally what happens is the low-res proxy starts appearing in a directory structure that's been built automatically on the media composer, and the editor, wherever they are, just starts seeing a proxy appear, and they can start editing the proxy as it's recording. Over 5G, it's pretty much immediate. And when they're done, they hit a button, and it goes back out to find the high-res and does a partial file restore and does the file composition of the program, just bringing down the clips it needs from the high-res file. So much faster, much less expensive, but camera specifics. Only certain cameras work with this. They showed it at NAB last year in Vegas. Sony had it. Avid was showing it. Very cool. And right away, when I saw it, I said, can we get that into a portal that's not camera specific, that takes any kind of a file, and then lets you wrap it in a op-atom format and bring it into much the same thing, but without being restricted to certain cameras. And that's where Sony C came into play. Sony C is pretty much just a ubiquitous portal that takes any file from anywhere in any format, does an ingest, and then allows us to create proxies from that, to do the same type of automated workflow, regardless of what camera it came from, or people just archiving things. A lot of people using Sony C have been for a while, putting things up there as an archive, and they want to pull it down and start using it for something, and they're big files, so they have the same situation. Now they have the egress charges from AWS or whatever portal they're using to make Sony, to support Sony C. They're having to bring down big files. So we started working with Sony to automate the process and work with their Sony C Media Manager to integrate it with Avid. And the beauty of this is what Michael's going to show you is a panel that has been built right inside Avid's new version that integrates the Marquis Medway application and Sony C to automate that entire process right into your Avid Media Composer. We did a demo last week. We don't have it exactly here this week in the same format, but in New York we showed it with the camera live going around the audience, and you could see the files with a new PDT device. I'm getting into a lot of things, but there's a PDT device now that Sony has, attaches to the camera and manages this process. Files were appearing live from the camera in Sony C. We were seeing them, and the Media Composer editor was able to pull them down, wrap as an Avid media file, and start editing with it while the record was happening inside the Avid Media Composer. So all automated, and Medway is the piece in the middle that makes all that happen, and through an API integration with Sony CI and Sony C3 portal. And by the way, we can do it with other portals as well. Michael's going to demonstrate this. I just wanted to give you kind of the history of the genesis of where it came from, how it started, and where it's evolving. Yeah, and Avid's, this whole SDK process is just opening things up, as Matt said, to people to import and integrate things into Avid's Media Composer, which we all love. I'm not an editor, but I've been around it for a long time. And these gentlemen will talk to you about their panels as well. So we've got some different panels that Michael's going to demonstrate.
You can see it right here. So the idea is, and this system, by the way, I'm promoting into a Media Composer in the UK, and they have configured the panels By the way, we have like, again, 200 partners signed up or looking to be part of this, but we're highlighting, of course, Marquis, Spectralogic, and Doom Solutions this evening. But the idea is we're streamlining the process. We don't want you to have to leave Media Composer to do a lot of this work to bring in stuff. And every application, every partner does something different, which is great. So here we have the Marquis Medway panel. Inside a Media Composer, it can be docked because it is using the Media Composer new UI look, so you can create a workspace with any of these. And the clips that are currently available, you'll see right here, and you will also see if the file has already been imported. So if it hasn't, you can simply select the file you want to bring in, so the camera original file. You can choose the bin that you want to bring it in. So I only have one bin open. If I had more, we could see the full list here. And I simply import the selected file, which will bring it into the bin that I have selected. And there it is. So, I mean, just as simple as that. Again, you're not having to leave the application. I now can double click and see that clip. I can use that clip. I can go in and do any sort of, editing. Take that file, mark it in, mark it out, drop that into my sequence. And then that sequence can then be sent back in to the Marquis Medway system by right-clicking and going send to Medway. And then that'll send that information back into the Marquis Medway system, or you could go in and relink to high-res media if you're working with proxy. But again, streamlining the workflow depending on how you want to use the files with Marquis.
Yeah, so Medway is running in the background. The editor doesn't ever really know how this is working, but an administrator has set it up, obviously, to do all this integration with the configuration tool. But this was showing bringing in original content, but Medway could be looking at that folder. It's a watch folder, and anything appearing in that Sony C portal, Medway could also be creating proxies from that and then bringing proxies down into the Avid editing system, just like we do with that C3 portal workflow with Sinclair News. So there's a lot of options, but Medway is, if you think of it, as just kind of a traffic cop that sits in the background, manages these watch folders, and is configured to do pretty much whatever you want it to do with the files that it sees. Create proxies, bring them into your nonlinear editing system, and then deliver them from there to where you want them to be delivered to, whether it's right back to Sony C or there and someplace else, to do some archiving. And Spectre is going to talk about a panel they have that does that as well. So really, I think really cool stuff. You could do some of this before, but as Michael said, Medway was not built into Avid. You had to know where Medway was in your system, point to it, link it with your Media Composer. That's all done through the API now, automatically. So I think I've used up all my time. The other thing I noticed was we ran out of seats. I guess that's a good news, bad news thing, but we did not run out of booze and pizza, and I think that's all good news. So kudos to the gang here who set the whole thing up. And do you have a translation selection for South Philly accents in your
I don't know if it's fully supported, but it might be a selection for a hint.
That's all I had.
All right, we're now going to start the next round of the lightning round with Spectralogic.
Hi, everybody. This is Iulian Ionita. I'm representing Spectralogic. I don't know how many of you know about Spectralogic and what it does. It is a provider of hardware and software solutions for archiving. And probably in the entire world, at least one facility has a Spectralogic solution in place for archiving storage. Spectralogic was integrated very well with Avid ecosystem, and especially in the interplay environments with very complex environments. But now we are presenting a panel that is integrated, benefiting from the SDK that was released by Avid, and presenting a panel that is a portal in the Media Composer with the ability of archiving and restoring the content from Media Composer to Spectralogic and bringing it back by searching, previewing proxies of the content, and bring it back into the Media Composer, while keeping entire metadata set that was associated with the Avid assets, master clips, sequences, any of the other elements, with ability of even organizing in bins and archiving the entire bins for later usage and restoring back or sharing with other Media Composer users. On this example, as Michael said, the Edit On Demand instance is in UK, while the Rio panel from Spectralogic resides in an instance in the cloud here on the West Coast, and can be saving the content on a tape, S3 endpoints, NAS. It is pretty agnostic from the storage perspective. And now if you would like to proceed with the demo.
Sure. What I didn't mention before, instead of just having the panel up, once the panels are built into Media Composer, they're accessed under the Tools menu, where you'll be able to pull them up. So once you purchase the application to have access to it, it would come up inside right of Media Composer. So I'm going to go to the Rio panel. This is the Spectralogic panel inside of Media Composer. Again, this is a floating panel. You could go and dock that anywhere in the UI if you wanted to. But as mentioned, the nice thing about Spectralogic is it's great for archive. And also it's project aware. So the cool thing is, not only do you see your clips here, you can actually open them up, you can see metadata, you actually can sample the file if you want inside the panel. But you'll also see import to Media Composer will actually take that file and drop it into your Media Composer system for editorial. And if I go down to any of the other options here, you're seeing folders in the Spectralogic system, any sort of status on these as well, to be able to drag and drop a clip from the window here right into Media Composer for editorial. And you also, there it is, and you also have your bins. So what you're seeing is, if I look at a bin inside of Media Composer, let's take a look at, let's see, clips right here. If I open up, select the bin, we would see all of the clips inside of that. So you could actually archive by bin, just select the bin itself and archive it, or you could go in and choose specific files to archive as well. And again, you're not having to leave the application. Everything is done inside of Media Composer.
I would add one thing that is really important to that we keep all the metadata associated with the sequences, with the Avid elements, so it can be easily searchable directly from the user interface and can be easily found. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I mean, that's important with any file, any port of information. We do want to maintain all that metadata throughout the entire process.
Yeah, we are trying to move from organization of backing up the files, going in workspaces and folders of Avid managed media, and elevate it to a level where it is an asset that is archived and restored instead of just going to the files themselves.
Is there anything else I should be highlighting in the panel at all, or?
No, the only one thing that I would add is other type of content. There are multiple ways to send the content to Spectralogic archive, as well as sending to different other destinations. So it can be integrated with other system like Sony C. It can be directly. If you just show a drag and drop operation from the bin to the panel directly, yes. So you can select on the left side the type of operation that is going to happen with the selected asset. In this case, it's just an archive operation, but can be sent to other destination, like Sony C portal, as we mentioned before.
Was that on the?
With the metadata, yeah, that is the metadata set.
Yep.
Yeah, this is kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a limit to the size of the format that your original material is?
We are archiving in the original format, so it keeps. There is no limit. It's Avid original format, so we are sending to the archive and bringing back in the same original form with its metadata as well as locators or any other associated elements that were originally sent. We are creating proxies from most of the formats, so it can be easily browsable and previewed before retrieving the content from the archive, with the option to execute even a partial restore if the content is too large, and to bring it back into the corresponding bin.
All right.
Great.
All right, and our last vendor is Doom Solutions. Take it away, Rhett, and let me know when you want your clip.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Rhett Fench, and I'm one of the co-founders of Doom Solutions. It's a software company that creates workflow tools for visual effects and post-production professionals. Woo! Hopefully there are some of you here. I'm also a picture editor and a visual effects editor in episodic television, and my business partner, Beth, is a visual effects producer in feature films. So we've taken our years of experience in the entertainment industry and varied skill sets to create software that, the goal and the aim is to save our users hours of work every week. So the first app that we created is called Marvin, and it's a data translation tool for all of the various Media Composer exports. So you're thinking EDLs, ALEs, XML, marker files, subcat files, things like that. You can do parse that, data manipulation, bulk editing of that data, and then export it into a lot of different formats that can either go into other applications or just for simply importing back into Media Composer. There's also integrations with Final Draft and Scripty, a submissions tool for cutting in hundreds of visual effects shots in just a matter of minutes, and a patented change this tool for comparing two versions of a VFX sequence. So when Avid introduced the Panel SDK last year, we were like, we have to get a hold of this, we have to get into this program so that we can do whatever we could to bring the power of Marvin directly into Media Composer, because anything to save the hassle of that constant importing and exporting and exporting and importing back and forth into different applications. It works, but if you didn't have to leave Media Composer, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. So I think Michael's got a quick 1-minute teaser he's going to show, and then come back.
Hi, this is Rhett, co-founder of Doom Solutions, and this is Marvin Jr., our Avid panel plugin that will help streamline your editorial and VFX workflows. Marvin Jr. features many of the time-saving marker and clip actions found in Marvin, our comprehensive post-production app, but Marvin Jr. makes them available directly within Media Composer. For the first time, you can perform batch actions on marker data to replace, substitute, add, or even change case with the push of a button. And then you can undo it just as easily. Auto-number your VFX shots across an entire actor reel in seconds, even if your markers already contain descriptions, even if you use both scene numbers and sequence codes, and even if they're all intercut. Instantly select multiple clips from a pasted list with Marvin Jr.'s Multifind. Use this action to search VFX submissions bins for all finals going to online and quickly catch missing versions, all without leaving Media Composer. Each show can set their specific VFX naming convention, as well as their preferred marker delimiter. If you get stuck, there's an awesome user guide and community forum on our website. You can also email us directly, and we'll help you get back on track. Keep your eyes on the timeline and download a free trial of Marvin Jr. today at doomsolutions.com.
So you get, thank you. You get the general idea there. Basically, it is trying to achieve some of that missing functionality within Media Composer of being able to do bulk edits of different things. Right now with the Panel SDK, we have access to the markers and a lot of bin metadata as well. And so I think now Michael will do a couple of live demonstrations of things, but you know, you can, with your markers, you can select all of them and you can do batch changes of your, you know, switching the track or switching the color, but really you can't do that with anything else like the user, the name, and then likewise with the comment field itself, and just the ability to parse that information, especially if you're in a visual effects workflow. But again, it's different workflows specifically for visual effects, but it's for pretty much any assistant editor and any editing team, and episodic, scripted, non-scripted. All right.
I think, I mean, the video did a really great job of, you know, overviewing what, you know, I'm going to show live. But the nice thing is, I mean, each of these partners, again, do different things. And that's the nice thing is, you know, people have different workflows. We want to be able to provide different tools for our partners inside of Media Composer itself. So one of the things that was mentioned was like shot ID. Typically, everybody has a certain syntax or way that their shot IDs are made, but you can simply go and drag and drop any of these to create a, you know, syntax or a way that your text is going to be named for VFX, which is really nice. I mean, the interface is just very interactive as you're working with it. If you want to go in and change things, I dragged and dropped this sequence into Marvin Jr., and I want to go ahead and add some text to it. So you just go to the field, you say you want maybe for the comment, you want to add a prefix of, you know, editor, need to be able to spell properly, editor underscore. You want to go in and choose the track that you want to have that information on, and you could even choose the locator. So maybe you have locators that are different colors depending on what sort of effect you have. I could say, okay, just on the green markers, go ahead and add editor to the beginning of those. So this typically was a one-off process. You had to go in and individually go into each marker to do this. Now this is doing more of a bulk change. And you know what I like to highlight here, which is amazing, just something as simple as undo. You made a mistake, you want to change it, undo, changes all that. You can go back and make any other changes. But just to be able to go in and, you know, simply drag and drop from a sequence right here, make any sort of changes that you need. You have the full list here. You want to go into your markers for add text, auto number, change case, replace text, substitute text, or turnover prep. Just again, very simple process, but really necessary when you are doing a lot of stuff with VFX and changing markers, but providing more value to Media Composer because it's something that Media Composer couldn't do. So a really nice application.
Q&A mic. All right, cool. Hey, so thank you so much for the partners coming out today. I just want to remind you, they're going to be here for the next hour, being able to do demonstrations for you at their tables as well as in the other room, as well as Michael Krulik will be here up at the front with any Avid Media Composer related questions. So thank you so much for our panelists. Does anyone have any questions before we do the raffle? Okay, one question.
For Marvin Jr., is that, does it have to be connected to the internet to be able to use it, or is it just already installed on the system?
So for right now, Marvin Jr. does rely on an internet connection as part of the licensing. We're trying to find ways to make an offline version that is also secure because we do recognize that there are a lot of shows that work in an offline capacity.
Yes, another question.
Is the SDK available to anyone? And if you have an idea for something you'd like to do yourself in your own department, you know, between you and some vendors, is that open to anybody? And are they able to run it on their own systems, or does there need to be a blessing of some kind?
If you Google Media Composer Panel SDK, there is a web page that you can go to and actually put in. It actually goes through a process where there is a team that actually will look at it, look at the application, reach out to you, and give you the tools, the panel SDK, to be able to do that. But the idea is we want to be able to open it up to, you know, so many people, because we know everybody has a different workflow. Everybody's using different tools. People are making tools. We want to be able to incorporate those so they're easier, again, to access inside of Media Composer. So definitely go and sign up.
The other thing we're finding that's really cool is with so many people doing this, there's no way Avid would have the resources to keep up. Like, we've already got another panel that we've released since the one Michael is showing that has more functionality, because our folks are working on it and they're focused on it and they know what they want to add to it, and everybody that's got a panel or creates a panel is going to do the same thing. Like, we have the ability to add metadata now at the end of the process as well that follows back to wherever you're sending, as a sidecar, user-defined metadata fields that we didn't have in there originally. So it's going to give people the ability to continually improve their panel or whatever they're doing in there too, because they're focused on it and then you know exactly what they need to do. That's a real powerful tool.
Great.
Are the SDK partner updates contingent on the Media Composer version?
I don't believe so. I mean, I think you need to be on a recent release. I think we started showing the panel with 2023-12, I think is when we started. So you definitely need to be on a more recent version of Media Composer to use it, to have access to the panels. We are building a directory that actually will, let you see what panels are available, and then you'll just, click on those or go to the partners to purchase the panel to have access.
Michael, both Mac and PC.
Both Mac and PC, absolutely. Great.
Going once, going twice. All right, we're now going to go into the raffle, and I got to bring back the hashtag KeyCodeKeyToad to get us really pumped for. Let's give a round of applause to our SDK partners, Marquess, Spectra, and Doom. Again, they're going to be here for the rest of the night. If you need someone to talk to, if you want to see the demonstrations, please come over and check it out. Get your in-depth question. Thank you guys so much. All right, so hello, Toad. Do you want to say anything? Oh, no, the Toad doesn't talk. All right, so we have 3 different types of raffle prizes. We have 3 Avid Media Composer Ultimate year-long subscriptions. Whoa, 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 whoa. Can we bring the sound effect up here? Okay, so then we have a $150 off an annual subscription to Marvin, which we just saw here from Doom. Ooh. And lastly, we have a pair of, this is nice, Apple Beats Pro headphones by Spectralogic. Thank you, Spectralogic. Wow. So here's the deal. This is our first time doing it this way, so I hope it works. But essentially, we're going full Oprah. Underneath your chair, you will find an envelope that tells you if you have a prize or not. But and don't jump over people. Like, be safe. Yeah, be safe. And raise your hand if you got one. Come to the front. Come to the front if you have one. Woo! All right, come on up. Come on up. All right. It's on the. Okay, it's on. God, it's on the. Now we're flipping chairs. Okay. Yeah, come on over. Come on over. Okay, and then we'll take a photo, Veronica, of the winners. All right, so if you're a winner, we'll take a quick photograph, and then you'll collect your prizes at the check-in desk that you guys checked in outside. Oh, wow. Okay, come on over, everyone. Come on over, raffle prize winners. Let's stand over here, Toad, right in the front. Here, let me hold you. Yeah. All right. It should be 5 people total. 1, 2, 3. Okay, quick photo op so we can get everyone out of here. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate it.